Alrighty guys, so one thing we should be prepping for right now is the maxed out free Rangiku that we are all going to be getting. Now obviously the second week 2 Gins update is going to be starting in 2 days time, on the 16th that is, of course, and new events and all that good stuff will begin as per usual. The stamp increase rate, that will also begin, so you know, a lot more farming to do, a lot more things to kind of cater to make our accounts and characters more stronger, which is fantastic. Now bringing our attention to Rangiku, because I am going to be going over a kit, because now we have percentage play, because obviously the last thing which we knew about the character is that she has been changed to be more so of an abnormal damage support unit. We still don't know what the percentage play was. Now we do, so we're going to take a look at that, of course, and see what extent that she's going to be helping, because obviously, look, we've had our fun with Gin. He's been out for almost a whole week now, and he is doing a phenomenal job. Nothing but praises, of course, with how much of a crazy DPS character he is. With that being said, you guys know the deal with SR support characters that we have in-game currently, how great that they are being built, should I say, in terms of the developers introducing these characters. Obviously, all of them have so far been support, so I'm eager to see on going forward if they're going to play other roles to see how they fare as an SR character, being a battlefield user or an attacker. But with the support role, they've been doing one hell of a job, right? One hell of a job. And so with Rangiku, it's going to be the same case, but we know that she's going to be furthermore catering to the thrust units, more so in the DOT department. So Tozen, again, that's going to be her primary team to support. Aizen can obviously be thrown into the mix as per usual, you guys know the drill, but kind of alleviates that pressure for Urahara to jump into another team if you want to use it as that. But Rangiku, I've only briefly seen a certain something, but she is looking to be a disgustingly great of an OP support unit for Gin. We know how amazing Gin is. She's going to come in and support him even more, which I'm very much looking forward to. So let's break it down. What is going on? So Rangiku's full kit is level 1 to 9, max CS with boundary. Okay, that's fine. So let's take a look, see if the investment is worthy. Now, again, I've briefly gone over a kit. So when she's doing a base attack, when she's doing a technique ultimate, she's applying 1 stack of Heineko. Or basically, the Heineko mark is stackable through all her kit, throughout her kit. So the basic attack will allow you to stack 1, or inflict it towards the enemy, should I say. The technique can inflict 2. The technique has a second part to it, to where if you hold the attack button, then obviously you do more damage, right, because the technique is still continuing on, and from that you'll apply 3 extra stacks of Heineko mark. So initially it's 2, but if you hold it down you get an extra 3, so that's 5. So already with the basic attack and the technique plus holding it down, that's a total of 6 Heineko marks right there. If you apply the ultimate, that will give you a 4 stack, so that is in total 10 Heineko mark through all of the kit. On top of all of that, when you do activate the ultimate, teammates will deal 50% more damage for thrust element. So again, for the mono thrust, for Gin in particular, this is where Rangiku will shine the most. But again, Aizen is still usable. Gin will be benefiting from the 15% more thrust damage. It's on for 20 seconds, so just bear that in mind. Again, a clear indication on wanting the ultimate charge rate to be a lot sooner for this Rangiku, so that's going to be a crucial stat to look forward to in terms of building her, so that way we can make good use of that ultimate a lot sooner, right? Something to take note. Moving along now to the counter, I mean, again, 3 stacks of Heineko mark is applied on that, so that's 13 altogether, that is. And then dodge, does dodge give us any Heineko marks? No, it doesn't. Just per usual, you get a little bit more of a speed, so that's fine. Core passive. Okay, so Heineko's assistant. So when a teammate hits an enemy with their special attack or technique, it generates an ash blade based on the number of enemies inflicted with the Heineko mark. Okay, on hit, each ash blade deals damage equal to 200% of the on-field character's attack and consumes 1 stack of Heineko mark. So this is, I saw this and I'm just like, hold up, wait a minute. Why is she cooking right now with that passive? So this was a passive which we saw beforehand, which we already knew about. I believe this is maxed, by the way. So I think, what, level 3? And obviously the one thing that we weren't aware of is what percentage play was. So yeah, So once again, when a teammate hits an enemy with their special attack or technique, so that's anyone on the screen, again, if you have Aizen involved, as well as, again, the rotation play of their techniques attacks is just pretty OP if you ask me, right? This will generate the Ash Blades and what we need to do those extra bit of damage. And then based on the number of enemies inflicted with the Heineken mark, each Ash Blade deals damage to 200% of the on-field character's attack. So that's pretty OP. So realistically, the way it's going to be working is, obviously, you want to use Rangiku, pretty much utilize all of her kit. If you've got her in a way where you can generate her ultimate within just a few amount of hits, right? Because, I mean, technically speaking, if you have built up Urahara to where he gets his ultimate generated, then 2 technique points will give his ultimate, right? It's that quick. So if you build her up in that kind of sense, then you'll pretty much guarantee yourself, at the very least, a 10 stack of Heineken mark, of course. And then from that, you'll then build up your Ash Blade whilst doing a disgusting amount of damage, and that then correlates into that 200% on-field damage, and that will consume only 1 stack of Heineken mark. 1! So 200% for 1 stack, so that's pretty crazy if you get that 10 on. So already we're now really getting into the whole DOT time, right? Because you've got to keep in mind, that Impale is still continuously popping off. Right, it's also pretty, if you do have, because the B6 for Gin isn't anything too major, but it's still pretty effective, right, especially when you want to get the proc off. So having that in the mix of things, again, it just works out beautifully on like the additional damage that can be applied. Again, fantastic for if you throw in Tozen into the mix too. That would be pretty insane. Now, with all of that, obviously there's a little bit more to it. As per usual, all characters in the team take 10% less damage. Teammates other than Rangiku gain 40% increase in their element. So this is basically the DOT damage bonus. So they kept with the damage reduction, which we initially saw, and then when they updated her, they threw in the DOT support. So that's an extra 40% coming their way. Okay, so I just ran some maths for my Gin. Because my Impel is just above the 150 mark, if I get that 40%, that should push me enough to where I'm doing over 200k. And that's just on average me doing 150, by the way. That is insane. That's nice. Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay. Hopefully I did my maths correct. Anyway, it don't really matter. Either way, that's an extra 40% coming our way, which is fantastic. These are the sub skills. So passive one, when you tap and hold the technique button to the maximum limit, inflicts 3 extra stacks of Heineken mark on the enemy. Okay, well that's a huge W. Unless that is a passive we have to unlock, and then that then gets thrown into no, I think that's an extra 3. I think that's an extra 3. Okay, that's huge. And then when it comes to the second passive, increases Ash Blade's damage by 90%. Honestly, now knowing how this Ash Blade works, because of course it was kind of up in the air to be like, is this in correlation to Rangiku's stats to do more damage? The fact that it's taken into consideration the on-field character, this is huge right now when it comes to the Ash Blade. So I will not knock that. So that's an extra 90% coming our way. So that's 290. I mean, they could have made it 100%, just short of 10%, but we'll take that. Okay, so that's just the kit. That's the passives and what we're looking at. Obviously, keep in mind, she is going to be maxed. So everyone's going to be, well, I mean, of course, you're going to have to build her up and invest into her, but what are we looking at? So it will go to 33% more thrust element damage. Okay. What else? Okay, I mean, her damage output percentage is pretty high up there, I will say. So the 40%, 200% stays the same. Okay, the 5 stacks stay, and the 150 stays. So okay, so it's just the ultimate that's going to be increasing the element damage of thrust by 33. That's max, by the way, with everything that's been shown. So yeah, still pretty crazy. And then obviously with the dupes, so every time Ash Blade hits an enemy, Rangiku gains 2.5 ultimate energy. Oh, that's even better. Fantastic. So basically every rotation, Rangiku will always have her ultimate at this point. I really am going to be focusing on her ultimate build, because again, we want to get that rotation going where she's always at the ready. Second dupe, Heineken's assist grants teammates extra DOT damage equal to 30% of Rangiku's oh, okay, this is interesting now. Okay, hold up, wait a minute. So Heineken's assist grants teammates extra DOT damage bonus equal to 30% of Rangiku's abnormal damage play. So realistically, we also want to somewhat... I mean, in that case, I think what I would do is I would actually cater more so on the abnormal damage side of it, and then substat-wise, push more for the ult, right? Because that first dupe already is doing a tremendous job at that, and it will do so. So, okay, I think that's going to be the biggest play. The drag range of the technique expanded, and the damage is increased by 200. Okay, that's for more so on Rangiku side. And then the final dupe, each time Ashblade hits an enemy, subsequent Ashblade damage increases by 20% for 15 seconds, stacks up to 10. Okay, yeah. Again, now we know the bigger picture on what the Ashblade actually is and how it affects the enemy in correlation to the on-field character. That's that's a W. Okay, goddamn. All right, what the stamp's looking like? Ascend 1. Every time an enemy is hit by an Ashblade, the thrust damage they receive increases by 1.2% for 20 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. Release Rangiku's technique to switch character immediately, but Rangiku will remain on the field, channeling until the effect... Oh! I was going to say, I was praying that they would have something like that applied. And the fact that it's in a stamp card makes it so that we need her stamp card. But once again, I suspect that... Well, no, they will give us her whole kit for free. So, if they give the stamp card and the weapon card all maxed out for free, Jesus Christ, boys, this is going to be insane. Okay. So I'm going to go straight to Ascend 5 so we can see what that's looking like. So every time an enemy is hit by an Ashblade, the thrust damage they receive increases by 3%. So that will then lead up to it being 30%, right? Stacks of 10 times. And then, of course, once again, Rangiku's technique, she'll stay on the field even if you switch out, which is something that we need. But yeah, that is effectively just huge to get additional thrust element damage off. So that's nice. And then when it comes to the... Is this the weapon stamp? I believe so. How's it looking? Okay, so it's the exclusive stamp for her. So Ascend 1, so this is the base. Increases Rangiku's ultimate energy charge rate by 25%. Okay, okay, yeah, keep the charge rate as substats at the very least. Then that just makes it so that I'm now catering to the abnormal play now. Increases the ultimate damage by 100% and inflicts 4 extra stacks of Heineken Mark on the enemy. Yep, we want that. We want as much as we can get, and that goes all the way up to 50%. And then the ultimate gets an increase of 200%, but the stacks stay at 4. That is still huge, though. That is still huge. That is the whole of Rangiku's kit, right? If we thought Gin was doing tremendously well now, I cannot even begin to think how much of a crazy unit he's going to be with the support of Rangiku. And again, she's going to be maxed out, so we're going to be getting the best of her. So... big reason on why we need to prep, boys. Big reason on why we need... Oh my god, double abnormal with ult support? I mean, double defense. I mean, that's... I might actually have to run with that, to be fair. Oh my god. Talk about ultimate charge. Jesus Christ, that's a good one. Oh my goodness gracious me. Is there any abnormal damage? Oh god damn! Double abnormal damage with crit rate and crit damage? Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna be cooking. I'm gonna be cooking for my Rangiku. Damn. Okay. Yeah. This is huge. All right. We got some good support. Obviously, you're gonna run with the Urahara set. That's just a given. But yeah, she is definitely. I am praying because obviously the character dupe is going to be maxed. I'm really hoping that the weapon and the stamp card is also maxed out. I'm praying. Oh my god. If it is, Jesus Christ, boys, she is going to be a disgusting SR support character for Gin.